In this video, we are going to be going through Facebook custom audiences, how to set them up, and some tips and tricks for some audiences that you should create right out of the gate. Add targeting options that let you find your existing audiences among people across meta technologies. You can use sources like customer lists, website traffic, app traffic, engagement. It's essentially a way for you to find people that look just like your customers on Facebook or Meta. The nice thing is that it's really straightforward and really easy to create these audiences, and I highly recommend that you do it right away when you create a Facebook pixel. If you don't know how to create a Facebook pixel, you need to do that first, and I'll have a link in the upper right-hand corner, so make sure you check that out. For now, we're going to dive into the Facebook platform, and I'll showcase how to set up some audiences in your Facebook account. The first thing you're going to want to do is visit business.facebook.com. This is your business manager account. And again, this is going to assume that you have the Facebook pixel installed. Go over to Data Sources, Pixels, select your pixel, and then open that in Events Manager. By doing that, that's going to allow you to create your custom events. So you can see here I have my custom pixel that is placed on my website, and in the upper right-hand corner, we're able to create audiences. So select this green button in the upper right-hand corner, click on Create Custom Audience, and then you're going to select the ad account that is associated with your pixel, go to Next, and you should see a screen that looks similar like this. Now, what we're telling the Facebook pixel is anything that meets this criteria on the screen, we are going to create targeting around it. And you can do that based on website visitors, events, or engagement. And then based on the criteria that you fill out, you can then begin to target users that engage with your website in a certain way and hit them with specific ads. So a very common example is users that have visited your website in a certain time frame, typically the last 30 days or so. You can then begin to remarket to those users that have visited your website, and you can also exclude users that have converted as well. So if you click on the drop-down menu here for events, you can see that you can target users that have visited every single page on your site, have visited specific pages. For example, if you have a specific service or product that you want to remarket to, you can target users based on time spent on website. So if somebody is spending a long time on your site and much more likely to be towards the bottom of the funnel, so you can target users by that. And then finally, you can target users by event. And now you can see that I have events here on the menu over here, and I'm targeting right now page views, subscribes, and leads. Typically, if you're an e-commerce website, you would have purchases down there. If you're a lead gen website, you would have leads, so I can remarket to users like that. I can then also choose to exclude users as well. So if somebody has purchased, I can then exclude those users so I don't remarket to them again. The final step when setting this up is you want to name your audience. So I would call this all users last 30, and then you can give it a description if you would like as well, if you've got a little bit in the weeds remarketing audiences. So now that you have your custom audiences set up, what are some best practices that you can do when optimizing your Facebook ad accounts? Typically, this involves creating different remarketing windows like 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 60, 90, or whatever makes sense for your business based on how much website traffic you get. Now, that might be different based on the size of your website. So if you're a smaller website and you're getting a small amount of traffic, you're likely going to want to expand that pool because your remarketing list needs to be at least 1,000 users. If your list is smaller than 1,000 users, there's a chance that your audience will not serve, and in that case, you'll want to create lookalike audiences. And right now, I'll show you how to make a lookalike audience. So now that you've built out several custom audiences within the Facebook platform, you can now expand your reach by hitting lookalike audiences. Think of a lookalike audience that have similar interests and likes to your seed list. So in order to do that, if you go to Create and go to Create Lookalike Audience, you can then associate your ad account, and you can choose lookalike audiences based on the users that engage with your site. So I can do that based on my entire pixel because right now I'm choosing my source here for the entire website here, so Sawvell.com. I can then do that for purchase event if I have purchases on my website, or I can build it based on other event values. So if you're a lead gen website, it's very unlikely that you're going to have purchases as a signal. And in that case, you can select the drop-down menu, and I can either do the subscribe or lead event that I have down here. So I can select lead if that is my option to go that route. And then Facebook is going to go out and build value-based audience signals based on all the signals on your website. So this is a way for Facebook to go out and mine lookalike audiences that are very relevant to your business. And now there's one more way to make a lookalike audience that I'm going to show you that you can tackle through the Facebook interface through your ads account. So head on over to your ads manager account and I'll show you how to do that exactly. Within Business Manager, select Ad Account on the left-hand menu and go to Open Ads Manager. In the upper left-hand corner, click on the hamburger menu and go to Audiences, and you're going to notice any audiences that you have created within your Facebook ads account. So you can see that I have a all users last 30 days and an engagers last 30 days. So if I select this top option here and check that audience box, I can then click on the three dots here and I can go to create lookalike audience. It will then use this audience as a seed list to then build off lookalikes for. So again, if you check that box, go to the ellipses, create lookalike audience, I can then create a lookalike based on other audiences that I have already created. And from an audience location standpoint, you're only able to select countries. I cannot select states. So if I wanted to select the state of Illinois, for example, I would not be able to do that. This has to be done at the country level. The next option for lookalikes is this select audience size, and you can expand this to increase your reach. So typically when you're talking lookalike audiences, depending on how large your business is, a 1% lookalike audience is typically the way to go. But you can make this as large as 10%, and you can see that this is going to 10x my reach. So based on a 1% lookalike of the visitors on my website, I will be hitting roughly 2.7 million users. However, if I make that a little bit more broad, I can hit a roughly 27 million users based on my audience signals. So for those reasons, 1% is typically going to be good enough to at least start, and you can always expand your reach based on the needs of your business. And now there are 3 custom audiences I recommend that you create out of the gate. Those audiences are going to be all users, 7, 14, 30, 60, 90, whatever duration makes sense for your business. The next one is going to be converters, so whether that's purchases or lead form fills. And the final one is going to be users that engage with your website in some form, so whether they're visiting multiple pages on your website or if they're spending a lot of time on your site. I'm going to show you how to create those audiences very quickly, and I would highly recommend that you also create them within your Business Manager account right away. I am back here in Events Manager for my Pixel, and I'm going to go to create a custom audience. The first one, like I recommend that you create, is all website visitors, and I would make a separate audience for each one of these lists that I'm about to mention. So I would do last 14, last 30, last 60, and last 90, and then you will name those accordingly based on the size of your business. So right now I have an audience signal here for users that have visited my website over the last 14 days. I would call this all users last 14, and then I would then repeat that process for the last 30, last 60, last 90, just so I have those audiences and I can target users based on how recently they've been to my website. The next audience that I am recommending that you create is either based on a lead or a purchase. Now you need to make sure that you have that event on your website. So if you are an e-commerce website, you'll select purchase here. If you are a lead gen website, you will select lead. I'm a lead gen website, so I'm going to select lead, and I'm going to target users over the last 30 days for users that have filled out my form. You can change this based on what is the lifetime value of your client. You may have a 7-day cycle or a 90-day cycle based on how often you want to exclude those users, but I'm going to call these lead form fills last 30. The purposes of this audience is that I am going to want to target lookalikes based on people that have filled out the lead form, and I'm going to want to exclude them from my remarketing campaigns. Another use case for this audience, if you're an e-commerce website, is you may want to upsell to them. So if you're selling one product, you may want to sell them something else. That is an advanced strategy, but something else that you can consider. And the final audience I'm going to recommend that you create is someone that has spent a long time on your website. So I'm going to say I want to hit the top 25% of users that have engaged on my website over the last 30 days. So this would be my top 25% engagers last 30 days. If you have a very large user base, you can make this much smaller. So if you're receiving, critical mass of sessions, you can also target this down to 5% or what have you. For my website, because I don't receive a ton of sessions, I'm going to do the top 25% of users over the last 30 days. These are users that are very warm on your website, and they are more likely brand loyalists to your brand or website in some capacity. And that's it. For Facebook, there are a lot of different audiences that you can create, and your ads are only going to perform as good as your target audiences are. So keep that in mind when designing these audiences. What are some audiences that you typically go after? Let me know down below in the comments, or make sure to visit my Discord channel if you'd like to chat with me or members of my community. Link will be down in the description, so make sure to check that out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. See you next time. Bye.